Opening statement. Okay. Well, we're here today. A few reasons, other than giving you guys something to do, is never had a chance to really talk about recruiting, staff changes, and that type of thing. So I'll have just a brief intro here, and then let you guys ask almost anything you want to ask, and then we'll proceed from there. So first of all, like every single program in the country, felt like we did a good job in recruiting. It was a blend of portal players and high school players coming in at the break. 30 altogether, 30 new faces, scholarship players at mid-year. There'll be another 12 to 16 that we add in the summertime, which will make for a over 50% roster makeover or the additions. And so that's the nature of college football now. That's something that is going to be, as long as the rules are what they are, in place. We did have an exceptionally large senior class based on the last several years, so that added to the turnover as well. But we're pleased with what we got out of the portal. Thought we had a net positive portal experience during the time it was open. Feel really good about the new hires on offense and what they bring to the table. Jason Beck, our offensive coordinator, excited about his schemes and his energy and what he'll bring. And then Mark Atuaya is our new running back coach from Washington State, and has proven to have a lot of energy as well. You may have seen a couple posts that he made, in the recent last 3 or 4 weeks. And then Micah Simon will coach our receivers, and so that is the change in the full-time staff. We've also had some analyst changes and so forth, but those are the changes with the full-time guys. So that being said, what questions do you have?
Hey Kyle, can you talk about your quarterback situation with Devin Dampier and Isaac Wilson coming back, and we still haven't really heard from Cam Rising, but
Yeah.
where does your quarterback room stand right now?
It's almost a complete makeover. Isaac is the only scholarship quarterback that's returning. He tested the waters, the portal waters, determined that he wanted to be here when all was said and done, so we were excited that he decided to return. Devin Dampier obviously is a big addition for us, coming from New Mexico, same place obviously that our coordinator came from, and so knows the offense inside and out. And we have 3 other QBs that scholarship QBs we've added to the room, and so we feel like we're in good shape. Now that being said, we felt like we were in good shape last year and ended up being on our 5th guy by the end of the season. So you got to hopefully stay healthy, and that'll be a big key. But the 2 big makeover rooms were the QB room and the running back room. Complete overhaul in the running back room. No returners, all brand new guys. So we like the guys that we brought in, obviously. So we'll see how they fare in spring. 4 of the 5 new running backs are here now. We'll have 1 addition in the summer, and then we'll find another one. We need to get to 6. That's our budget for running backs. Yeah.
In Tonavasa and Calhoun, those guys would have been starters on defenses, presumably, if they returned, but they didn't. How much did NIL play into it?
The absolute overriding factor was NIL. There's no doubt about it, in my opinion. And Cam ended up at a school in the Southeast Conference, and he would have been battling for a starting job, just like last year he was in that rotation. And Keanu was a very good player for us last year, but they both felt that it was made more sense to move on for their own reasons. But NIL is something that was certainly in the equation.
Kyle, looking at what Jason Beck did last year at New Mexico, what does he do on offense in terms of schemes and philosophy that kind of meshes with what you want to do here at Utah?
Yeah, well, it's more wide open, more spread formations, a lot of Q run game. Not quite as much implementation of the tight ends. Although that being said, Jason is a really good, judge of talent, who to use. Getting the most out of each guy and tweaking things to fit the personnel, which is really critical. In football, obviously, is to to play to the strengths of your players and not try to put a square peg in a round hole, and that's something that he's done a really good job of through the years.
Coach, a lot of the attention is on the players that left, but you held on to a lot of good players with NIL. What does that say about the support around the program and the program itself?
Yeah, we're doing what we can NIL-wise. It's always a challenge, and you always are wanting for more. I mean, that's, the discrepancy between most schools and some of the real upper echelon schools is dramatic. And it's, 5-6 times the amount of resources at some of those schools as other P4 schools. And so it's far from a level playing field, but we feel like we're able to hang on to the nucleus of our roster with a few exceptions. And, going forward with the rev share, that's, some people think that's going to level the playing field. I don't, because the other schools will still have pots of money coming from somewhere. So it's, I still don't think that's going to be the solution, but that's the direction we're going, at least in the near future.
A couple of years ago, you said that the top 25 would pretty quickly reflect the top 25 NIL schools.
Yep.
I'm wondering if a couple of years in, if that's what you're seeing, are there tiers when you say the upper echelon, are there tiers within the top 25, and what do those look like? Which is a long way of saying what should be a realistic goal for your team based on where you sit with NIL.
Yeah, we hear some schools have 30+ million of NIL resources, and some schools have 5. And so that's, like I said, there's a big discrepancy. I'm not privy to everybody's NIL budget, so I can't tell you exactly, compartmentalized or in tiers, but I just know that the team that will ultimately win it, either Ohio State and Notre Dame, is both those are very, very well funded NIL-wise, to my knowledge. Again, I don't have the hard numbers, but just what you hear.
Kyle, kind of in the same vein of revenue sharing and NIL, obviously when you have a smaller budget, I'm sure you have to kind of crunch the numbers a bit, choose what positions you want to go after. I'm curious from your perspective, how did you guys approach that this off season in terms of NIL and revenue sharing? Was it a retaining philosophy? I mean, walk me through that.
Yeah, retention is your primary concern, but you've also got to have an influx of new talent, so it's not your only concern, obviously. We use an NFL model. The NFL, as far as weighted, the positions that are weighted, the more valued positions, and the more, the positions you sink more money into, that's the bottom line. We use that, on an Excel spreadsheet and had it all mapped out, and we adhered to that pretty close. There's a few discrepancies here and there, but for the most part, where the NFL is sinking their resources into position-wise, we followed that same blueprint.
You have to replace 2 starting defensive tackles. Do you feel like you can do that from within, or is that going to be a priority in the spring portal?
That's a question that will be answered through spring. We have 3 returners that we really like, and then 4 freshmen that we're going to get a look at. We won't get a look at all of them this spring. We'll get a look at 3 of them and see what they can do, and then make a decision after that, because the portal will reopen, the 15th of April, I believe it is. And so if we need, and that goes for every position, if there's a position that we feel needs to be bolstered or we're a little thin at, then we'll continue to shop the portal at that time, and we have some room in the roster to do just that. We will have room in the roster.
Coach, how do you go about reinventing sort of the way you establish your culture in the program with NIL?
Yeah, it's more challenging, obviously, with more guys new than returners in the fall. It's not quite as simple as it used to be, but we have a very strong culture here. The guys that are returning, it's up to them to educate, indoctrinate, the new guys into how we do things, and we have a certain way of doing things here, and we expect that to continue. But again, it's a little more of a challenge, but just because of the numbers that you're dealing with.
Coach, we'll ask Jason when he comes up here, but you've expressed dissatisfaction in the throw game the last couple of years. Does he have more of a emphasis on getting those big chunk yardage plays downfield? Well,
we want to be very balanced offensively, and I think that's something that he's done a great job of, is being balanced in his offense. And to me, the perfect season is 3,500 plus throwing and 2,500 plus rushing. If you can get 6,000 yards in the regular season, that's 500 a game, and you're really humming. You're humming along, and so that would be ideal. Whether we get to that or not, we'll see. But they were pretty darn close to that in New Mexico last year. I can tell you that.
You said that Isaac's the only returning scholarship quarterback, which implies that Cam is not coming back. Do you know what his plans are?
I've talked to Cam a few times, but that is really up to Cam to divulge that when he wants to divulge what his plan is. But we've certainly had communication, and you don't see him on our roster right now, so that's can tell you some things right there. But I would leave that up to Cam to outline exactly what his plan is.
Kyle, I'm curious to talk a little bit about Devin Dampier and Wayshawn Parker.
Okay.
What have you seen from them on tape that can, I guess, spread your offense around a little bit more and do what
Okay.
you might have not been able to do last year?
Well, Devin is a true, in every sense of the word, dual threat quarterback. I mean, he's a terrific runner. He's a very good thrower. We expect to get his completion percentage bumped up a little bit this year. We think that'll happen just through maturity and familiarity in the system. But he's a guy that he was only sacked 4 times last year, and that wasn't because of stellar protection all the time. He is very mobile in the pocket, has great pocket awareness, and to be, that's a remarkable stat to only have 4 sacks. And so we think that he's obviously the perfect fit for this offense. He is. I mean, he proved it last year, and so we're excited to have him continue doing here what he, pick up where he left off from New Mex.
What's the specific challenge in the running back room of carrying on your identity, your culture? Been going on for 10, 15 years of kind of backs with that identity. No returning backs and a new running back coach. What's the challenge there?
Well, we expect to continue to be efficient in the run game. I think coach at New Mex was 250 yards or thereabouts plus a game. And I didn't answer your question about Wayshawn Parker. He is really a tough, physical running back, can run inside, can run outside, has great contact balance, breaks tackles, yards after contact, and he was just a freshman last year. I mean, he's got a big upside, and we're excited about what he can do, and saw a bunch of that on tape. And back to your question, I already find I'm really old, so I forgot what you just said. What was your question?
Just more,
the challenge of
more
the running back.
specific
Yeah.
on the running back. Yeah.
Well, we expect to, man, you get any water? Thank you. We expect to continue to be physical in the run game. That's been our calling card for a lot of years. And we don't, if you look at the numbers of Coach's offense through the years, then it's not a pass-happy, just throw the ball around the parking lot. It's very balanced, like I said, and relies heavily on the run game. And I'm sure he'll give you more, clarity on that when he talks.
Last one.
Okay, we'll go to Steve and then.
Coach, can you talk about the potential possibility of Dorian Singer returning for 2025?
Yeah, that's being worked on. It's you got to have a case. You got to have reasons why. Much like the young man at Vanderbilt that got his extra year, and so Dorian would like nothing more than to return with us. I can't give you percentages or anything like that. I can tell you that it's in process right now, and we're trying every which way to see if we can get him one more year. I know the NC2A is talking about going 5 years to play 5, and if that is in fact adopted, what's the criteria as far as how it's implemented? Is it guys that just finished that didn't have all 5 years? Do they get to come back? Does it start with a new freshman somewhere in between? We don't know that, but the bottom line is we would love to have Dorian in the program for another year if we can somehow make that work.
All right. Thanks. Good luck.
That's it. Okay. Gotcha.
Going now by Morgan Scally, defensive coordinator and safeties coach. We'll start off with questions.
Someone's got a fancy phone.
All right. Ready to go first? Go ahead.
You lose Calhoun in the cornerbacks room, but you added quite a few from the portal. How do you feel about that position heading into 2025?
I feel good. I'll feel better after spring. Spring's really where you find out where your depth is. And I think we did a really good job of evaluating needs in both the portal. Also got a JC transfer in Jeremiah Caldwell. Love the addition of length. That's such a huge benefit in this defense, as much man coverage as we play. So Blake Cotton, Donovan Saunders, and Jeremiah Caldwell, all 6'2 plus. So really excited for this group. I loved the progress of Scooby Davis throughout last season. Smith Snowden's a guy that you're probably going to see outside this year as well. He's a guy that should not leave the field, as good as he is. And so I just look at the guys that we have returning. Sammy Hunter, Jason Stokes is a freshman that came in. Dion Mays is a guy that we love. So, this happens every year. Oh, you lost this guy, you lost that guy. How are you going to? And every year, I think we've proven that we can do a pretty good job of reloading.
Morgan, I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about Keanu's exit. How hard is it to see a guy like that go, that you've developed behind the scenes, built a relationship with, and what do you think of your defensive tackle depth now that he's gone?
Well, I love every player that comes into this program, that sacrifices and gives and buys into this culture. You love them, and when they leave this program, you hope they go on to be the men that you've taught them to be. And at the same time, my job is to develop the guys that we have in this program, and I do a disservice to them by spending much time on guys that aren't a part of our team anymore. I love our defensive tackles. You look at Dallas Vakalahi, he's a true freshman, and what he did. Very active, very productive. Aliki Vimahi's going to be back, which is a huge plus. He provides leadership and some senior leadership at that. Jonalea Ea is a guy that we've been fighting to put on the weight. And man, he's finally got there. So this is one of the most athletic defensive linemen that we have, and really excited for his length and athleticism to show up with the added weight. And then all the freshmen that are coming in, we're excited about all of them. Usually if you're going to play as a freshman, physically you have to be ready, mentally you have to be ready. Two things that keep people from playing as true freshmen really is are they physically ready and mentally capable, and that's our job, is to coach them up. But all of those freshmen, every single one of them coming into this program, you're not going to have to spend a whole lot of time putting weight on. So we're fired up.
Coach, I'd be curious. You already kind of talked about Smith Snowden, but Smith and Teo specifically, and Scooby too, what is the next step in their sort of progression?
I would say become compelling. Bring others along with you. The great ones that we've had, the Devin Lloyds, the Clark Phillips, the Cole Bishops, Joni Vaught, they brought others with them. They weren't just focused on their development. They were bringing other guys with them. Come in the room. Let's go. Let's work our steps. Let's watch film together. So I think leadership is going to be the next step for those guys, and they've already done it, some of that. But you get as many new faces as we have. You have to have leadership, and those leaders gotta be compelling.
Yeah, you had a little bit of injury attrition with the linebacker room this past season. With them kind of getting back to full strength, what do you expect from them in terms of performance and taking it a step forward?
Yeah, having Levani back is huge. I think his biggest concern was making sure that he got his jersey number back, number 3, and so John O'Hall had to give that one up. But love the progression of Jonathan Hall, moving him to linebacker. He's going to be a star in this league. Lander continued to work through his rehab as the season went on. He's going to be 100%. So you lose a guy like Karene, again, you're going to lose seniors, you're going to lose guys to transfers, but that's our job as coaches is to coach them up. It's to develop and teach, and you've got one of the best teachers here at the University of Utah, Colton Swan. He's done a great job with those guys. Love the depth that we have at linebacker, the influx of athletic freshmen. We could spend all day talking about the new faces, but I'm zero issues with the linebacker depth.
Coach, we've talked a lot about the Big 12. What did you learn about the offenses in the Big 12, and how do you better defend them next season?
There wasn't much difference between the Pac-12 to the Big 12. I'd say the biggest difference it was probably at the quarterback level. Now that was, maybe an anomaly, but last year you faced 3 first-round draft picks all starting in the NFL right now. So they've got good quarterbacks in the Big 12, but when you go up against Penix and Nix and Caleb Williams in one year, that's that's a huge deal. So very, physical offenses, good coaches. That's what you would expect in a Power Four conference, and that's what we have.
Morgan, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about NIL. Obviously, with revenue sharing, it's changed the model. You're a big relationships and culture guy. I'm curious, as the defensive coordinator, how do you feel like you've had to adjust or adapt to the new model in terms of still having that culture, but also adapting to the pay-for-play model that is college football now?
Well, I just think that, players in the past have left your program because they felt like they wanted a new opportunity to play. Now it's for different reasons outside of that. My job is continue to maintain and strengthen the culture that we have. I truly believe that culture does matter, and for those that it doesn't matter to, that's okay, and we're going to get the right guys in this program. We have very good support. We have very good NIL, and another thing is people want to donate money to good people, good programs. We've got a very good program. Kyle Whittingham has done nothing but establish class and doing it the right way. And so that's why, in my opinion, we should not have an issue raising money.
Morgan, I think you had 1 year overlap with Jason Beck when you guys were both playing. Just curious about your relationship with him, and what do you think he's going to bring to this offense that you're going to have to practice against every day?
I remember nothing about it. All I know is, I'm always watching offense, and as a part of the off season, I watched a ton of his offense, and I love it. It creates problems for defensive coordinators for a multitude of reasons. The formations into the boundary, the shifts and motions, the QB run game, a lot of these things, changing personnel groups as you go throughout a series, all that, causes defensive coordinators to really have to put in the work. And so I'm so fired up for this offense, for the quarterback coming in, Devin, and the QB depth that we have. So it's going to be interesting this spring going up against a new offense, because I love Andy and what he brought and his offensive scheme, but excited for this change.
Easier to recruit in Texas now that you're in the Big 12?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Morgan, I'm curious about what you need to see from Rabbit this offseason as he continues to develop into the safeties room.
Well, the number one thing was developing his body, and he's done that. I mean, usually you can tell how much it matters to a player based on what they do in their downtime. He came back bigger, stronger on his own. So he's already looking very explosive. His knowledge of the defense is only going to get better. He's going to be elite, in my opinion. So, good question.
Okay.
Please be joined by our offensive coordinator, Jason Beck. When we're ready, we'll start in with questions.
All right, who's up?
Jason, I'm curious, just walk me through the process of deciding to come to Utah and what you think you can do with this program now that you're here.
Yeah, just, when I hit that time of year and had some opportunities come up, and Coach Witt came calling, and know the program well, looking at it from the outside and following it over all this time. And, man, what a great opportunity to be a part of such a great program. The success they've had over a long period of time, playing and winning conference championships. It was just a no-brainer for me to be able to join such a great program and to be a part of it.
How would you describe your offense to Utah fans that haven't seen a lot of it?
The offense is just kind of based around playing to your personnel, to your players. So it's all about identifying your best players and putting them in positions to have success and to play well. A lot of times that's driven through the quarterback. It starts with him. It starts with the old line, with what they can do, and then it goes to the other skill people around them. But it's QB centered and play to your personnel.
How do your schemes and your philosophy on offense kind of fit with the culture and philosophy here at Utah? I mean, how do they kind of work together, just from your early perspective?
Yeah. I do. We start with the who, like I mentioned, who the guys are, and then it's all about what they're doing and how they're doing it. And so the execution is the what, but with the culture, it's all about how, the competitiveness, the spirit, the heart, the fight. And so, man, we coached that out of our guys just as much as we do the execution side of things, because we want those, every play, it's, do I get the job done against the guy I'm going against at the highest level? So that competitive spirit, which I've appreciated about this program over all these years, it's evident, tough guys playing physical, playing hard. That's what it's all about.
Coach, to kind of piggyback off of that, how beneficial is it for you to have the quarterback that played under you last season follow you to Utah?
Yeah, that was very positive, just in terms of he knows we'll tweak some things and adapt some things, but yeah, he's already up and running, so he's been in it for a year. And so just his example to help the other guys or to show what it's supposed to look like at a high level for the other guys to come around, and how that permeates throughout, the offensive guys is a big positive, as well as I know him. The other quarterbacks here, I'm going to really need to get to know them and what their strengths are and how to help them, where with Dev, I have that history of knowing him at a really high level, so you're already starting from that point. You're starting from a year in with a person, which is a huge advantage with that.
Jason, continuing on that line of questioning, what was the conversation like with Devin as soon as you got this job? Didn't take much convincing? Does he want to continue to play in this type of offense? And also, there's been a history of injuries with quarterbacks here, obviously. He's a big runner. Do you want to continue that aggressiveness when he has the ability to take off?
So starting with the first part, it was not guaranteed. I knew him and his family appreciated what we did and how we used them and that relationship. But with this world of you hit the portal and, we were talking about NIL earlier and all those variables, yeah, you never know what could happen or would happen. And so it was obviously great that it worked out the way it did, and you feel good about that, but nothing's guaranteed till it happens. So that was great. Along that thing of playing the guys' skill sets, Devin does have that skill set as a runner, but you do need to manage that depending on the bye weeks and rest. That you can't overuse, but at the same time, when you need to do certain things, critical points in game, critical situations, you got to go to what's going to be the best for you. And so there is an art to managing that and being smart about it. And on the flip side, I've had as many guys get hurt just doing normal stuff, standing in the pocket throwing it as I have running it. And he has a really good ability to protect himself. So he's not taking direct shots and those kind of things. And a lot of times guys who have that skill set, they are that way. As a runner, they can protect themselves at a pretty high level. It's more the other times that the injuries come up, the unexpected type of thing. So, but yeah, you gotta manage that.
We were seeing 2 and 3 tight ends at a time deployed in Utah's offense over the last few years. How do you plan on using the tight ends, given who's on the roster now and how you like to play?
Yeah, if it's a strength, the tight end play, then man, we'll play with 2 tight ends. If it's so, it really is just that. I kind of use that phrase, earn not given. Those guys earn the right for their role and what that looks like. And some years we've done a lot of 12, and we've even done this past year, we did a lot of 2 tight ends, 3 wideouts because of Devin's ability as the runner, because that was the guys you trusted, the circle of trust. 2 of those tight end guys were in there, and so we had them on the field quite a bit. Other years, it's been a lot more 11 personnel because of that. My first year at Syracuse, 10 personnel was our top thing because that was the strength of the thing. So it really is the who, and identifying the who, and who's in that circle of trust, and then creating it around them with what they do.
Looking at his numbers from New Mexico, 58% if you round up completion, 12 touchdown passes, 12 picks. Do you think those numbers need to improve in the Big 12?
Oh yeah, definitely. And with a young guy, they should. As he continues to grow and improve, they should improve. Absolutely.
Kind of piggybacking off of that a little bit, you obviously have a year with Devin. You guys know each other very well. Coming here to Utah, how would you like to see both of you guys kind of improve and elevate your games?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain reads and certain throws that we'll look to complete and do at a higher level. But you are now you're mixing in all these other skill guys and getting them on the same page with all that chemistry. So it's just a matter of that process, continue to grow, continue to improve, identify the guys here, the strengths here to play to, and kind of making that all come together, both for Dev, but for the whole room. It's about developing and improving every guy in the QB room as the QB coach, and on the offense, as the offensive coordinator.
Jason, as Kyle mentioned, Dorian Singer's looking for an opportunity to potentially have a 5th year of eligibility. Obviously, he has a really close relationship with Devin Dampier. I'm curious, what do you think he could bring to your offense if he is able to get that 5th year of eligibility and just having that relationship with Devin?
Yeah, I mean, he's a proven player in this league, and he's done it. So to have that back would be great if it worked out. And then, yeah, I'm assuming they got some pretty good chemistry from time together. So you're kind of, if that were to work out, you're building on all that chemistry that they've developed over time. So, yeah, a lot of positives with those things.
Coach, you joined the program at kind of a unique time as the transfer portal opened and Utah kind of going through a makeover on the offense side of the ball. Obviously, you were involved with that. Just kind of walk us through that process of rebuilding and remaking this offensive unit and kind of how you see it.
Yeah, it's the portal's a funny thing, and that guys are just jumping in there constantly. I can't remember what the final numbers were, but a couple thousand. And so as guys hit the portal, and you're evaluating for the spots you have and the openings you have to fill, we believe in you obviously watch the film, you evaluate, but it's also about getting references from people and trust that have connections to these players, because you want to bring in to have a really strong culture is you want to bring in guys that fit that culture. And so being able to make decisions based off who's a great fit and potentially avoiding guys who could be really good players but not a great fit, that's every bit as important as just the talent that shows up on tape. And the best way for that is through references, people that know them, that can kind of give you some info on them to make those decisions.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks guys.
Thanks all.